Good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us today. It's a very auspicious day. We are here to celebrate fathers on this Father's Day. And what better way to celebrate this other than being joined on this panel as we discuss the topic of today, fathers and how to juggle investment, by this panel of super dads. And from the right, we have Mr. Philip Omondi from NCBA, the Business Development Manager. We have Evangelist Harrison Mahinda, who is joining us today, and our very own Mr. Moses Murray, the CEO of Fanaka Real Estate. And again, one more time, Mr. Lawrence Gashanja, advocate of the High Court. He said it's advocate of the High Court, yes? And right off the top, we want to ask a question. Evangelist, providing and protecting is considered one of the most important roles for a dad. How big a role is this?
So thank you so much, and of course, happy Father's Day. We are here to celebrate the fathers, and I'll talk later about even fatherhood, because much as we want to celebrate the fathers, we also want to think about those who do not have fathers, because fatherhood is a bigger topic. Now, as you've heard, my name is Harrison, and I want to start off with what you've asked about protecting and providing. And you see, from creation, God, besides creating a man, he provided for him. He provided an environment for the man to live, a place where he would farm and get his food from. He provided him with a spouse, a wife. God even provided him with authority and dominion. And over the scripture, God the Father, has always been providing for his children. And this is clearly seen even in the text where we read about the Israelites, that one of the biggest roles that God had is to make sure that they settled in their land. So when you talk about providing, it is such a huge role for every father to learn from the Father of all fathers, who is our God, on provision and making sure that you provide for your family. And in fact, even in the Bible, it teaches us that whoever does not provide for his people has denied his faith and is even worse than an unbeliever. So it is a requirement of every father to think about providing for his own. Number two, protecting means you have to think about securing, because protecting is not limited to the physical protection that you can offer, but it also means to protect the future, securing the future of your children. And I think the best way you can do that is, of course, through investments, because any child who has had parent who invested for them, they're in better standing than anyone who is starting from the scratch. So they already have something that they can bank on, hold on, as they build themselves. So that's a requirement for every father, even as we celebrate you this time around, to think about how you protect and you also provide for your families.
Wonderful. And the good book says that a good father leaves an inheritance for their children's children. How important is it that one, they make an investment, especially as you have said it, the Israelites, God provided for them a piece of land where they could call their own. How important is it for them to also leave an inheritance for their kids, and more so in either buying a piece of land or real estate as a whole?
In fact, as you've said, that word says he leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So you can imagine it's not just your children. You even have a responsibility as a father to think about your grandchildren. And the best way that you can do that, of course, is with investments, like what we are talking about here, real estate and land, being one of the surest investments that you can leave as an inheritance for your children. But besides that word also helps us to understand that you have a bigger role of also investing good virtues and even a legacy that you shall leave behind for your children. But as I have insisted earlier, the best that you can do is make sure that there is something that your children will come, and even your children's children will come and find as they live life. Because you see, we are living in very hard times, that unless you have something that you can count on, then life can be a bit challenging. So yes, leave an inheritance, not only for your children, but also your children's children.
Thank you so much. Mr. Moses, a quick one. Does investing in land provide long-term financial stability and, growth?
Good. First of all, happy Father's Day to all fathers out there. It's a calling to be a father and a gift. So keep doing it to your best. When it comes to investment in real estate, just like the word describes it, it's basically something that we can see goes for a long, it's a long period of time, basically from the fact that it's what we have on this earth. It's basically investing in a piece of earth. And this thing is long term, this thing is definite, thing is touchable, and it is something that will be able to move from one generation to the other. I think most of us probably who have inherited from our grandfathers, who also inherited similar land from their great grandfathers. So it shows it is a continuous kind of investment, an investment that can not only benefit the today's generation, but can be able to move from one generation to the other. Yeah.
We've established that we need guys to make sure that we are securing the futures of our families as fathers. A question, yeah? What are some of the factors, what are some of the key factors that one should consider when choosing the right piece of land to invest in terms of, is it being location, the potential for appreciation? What are some of the key factors to consider?
Great. So when it comes to land investment, there are several factors. First of all, you have to ask yourself, for what purpose are you investing in? And you find that there are those who are investing. One, maybe they want a place to build their home. Someone could be investing to do farming. Someone could be investing even for the kids. And you have to evaluate the element about sustainability also in terms of that investment. I mean this, if I'm looking for something for my family where I can be able to build them their home, there are factors that are more crucial right now than in future. Things such as amenities, nearby schools, healthcare, and so forth. And again, if I'm looking at something like to invest for my children, I'll look for something that, yes, it is affordable. And again, something I believe over time, over several years, when it comes to amenities, they'll be there. So that also, again, what I'm leaving behind for my kids is something that will generate value with time. So location is very key. And apart from location, another factor that has to be very key is in terms of the legality of that particular investment. What do I mean? You need to invest somewhere where there is no any issues relating to documentation, so that once you're able to buy that property, it's something that you can be able to get the relevant documents all the way up to the title deed. And again, this is something you can also use it with the banks for getting a mortgage. You can use it as a security to do a business and so forth. So if you have got it best in terms of location, if you get it best when it comes to documentation, I think, again, you'll be at a position where you can say you have a stable kind of investment. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And now you've touched on the idea of the bank, and let's rope in Mr. Philip Aguzie a little bit about the money. A huge congratulations on the partnership between NCBA Bank and Fanaka Real Estate. What does this mean for your clients and the clients of Fanaka Real Estate? What do they gain and what benefits?
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and happy Father's Day. I echo the sentiments of the CEO, and just to mirror what we're here to discuss today. And of course, at NCBA, our partnership with Fanaka basically looks at providing solutions to potential customers who are looking to buy a piece of real estate. And given that Fanaka is a big player within this space with respect to sale of land, so we come in to just bridge, offer some sort of a bridge in terms of if you have some money on the side and you're looking to buy a piece of land from Fanaka. So NCBA is basically here to provide that solution. And not only buying land, we also have different other solutions, mortgage to be precise, that we can offer on the table that can actualize your investment options, or that can actually offer as a springboard to push you to the next level in terms of real estate investment.
Great. I know for sure our viewers, as they're watching, they've heard that we need to secure a piece of land, and now you're touching on NCBA is coming in to help with the the bit of getting this piece of land. What are some of the financing options that NCBA is offering someone who is looking to buy into a piece of land or real estate?
Okay. For fathers who are viewing this particular show today, or any other potential customer who is interested in investing in real estate, our financial options cut across different aspects. And since today we're talking about land, we have the option of land purchase. So we have plot loans that you can actually take advantage of. We equally have construction loans. It could be possible that you're an existing or a repeat customer of Fanaka. You bought land back in the day, and you've just been sitting on it, and you're wondering, what do I do? Where can I get money? And at NCBA, we cut across. We'll be able to offer you construction finance solutions. And in offering construction finance solutions, the option here is, or the assumption here is, you come with your own professionals. Think about it: architect, contractor, engineers, every other person involved in construction. So in that particular aspect of construction, the assumption is you'll manage the project yourself. So NCBA recently launched a product called NCBA Easy Build. This basically helps that particular individual who is not ready to deal with, let me call them fundis, someone who probably doesn't have time to supervise the construction. You don't have time to chase approvals. So you have this piece of land, but you want NCBA to handle the end-to-end construction process. So we actually have a product for that. And beyond that, we have an option for buy and build, meaning if you're buying land from Fanaka today and you have an idea of, the sort of type of house you want to put up, we equally have a product that can allow you to buy land and subsequently build on the same piece of land simultaneously. So beyond that, our financing options also cut across market rate offering, in terms of the interest rate we offer. And again, also just recently, we launched our new kid on the block, which is, of course, affordable housing, given that the government is actually pushing the affordable housing agenda. So which actually also ties into the different financing options that we have.
Thank you. I know for sure that once we've touched on all this, some of the all the fathers who are listening and the guys who are also tuned in, they would want to know for sure that there are legal considerations before you actually make that investment into putting this money in a piece of land or real estate. What are some of the steps that one needs to consider, legal steps that one needs to consider before making the investment?
Thank you, Basal, for inviting me. Let me say that first of all, I want to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day. As the main consideration to make, especially when you're buying land, is looking at the documentation. That is a very important thing that you need to do. And the first question that you should ask yourself is, does the land have a title deed? Then, if the land has a title deed, who is written on that title deed as an owner? After answering those questions, you now go to asking about now the documentation of that person who is selling, who in other words we call the vendor. So if the vendor is a natural person, you need to ask yourself, does that person has an ID? And is that ID what is written in the title deed? If it's an artificial person is a company, we need to know who are behind that company. In other words, who are the directors and the shareholders. So you need to do something we call a search to know who are the real owners of that piece of property. And by that, what you do is you do something we call a company search. Yeah. So documentation is something which is very key, and it's something that you cannot be able to leave out.
Can we quickly say this is due diligence?
Yes. Yeah. Just to define, maybe because some people are hearing it for the first time, due diligence is like an investigation you want to carry out, especially for the property that you want to buy. Yeah. And due diligence is a process, and part of that due diligence is you need to carry out what we call a search. Yeah, that is the first step when you're buying a property, and it's also important that you engage professionals to carry it out for you. Even bringing a surveyor on the ground is still due diligence, just to ensure that the size that is written on the title is what appears on the ground. So it's a very wide term, but it basically means that you're investigating the title to know who is the real one.
Ah,
Yes.
good. I want to put Evangelist on the spot kidogo, and we might be having this conversation here about fathers and saying how it's a good thing to secure the futures of a family. But then again, time and time again, we've heard of issues of, fathers who are missing in action, not in that family setup. What is the church doing to ensure that, what role are they playing to make sure that more and more, we are seeing more and more families having both the parents in the picture? Because we can't have this, we can't sit and talk about these investments being made by the dads and they are not in the picture. So what is the church role in the whole?
Right, thank you so much. I think, like I said earlier, I would want to look at the definition of fatherhood. Because much as we are celebrating fathers, and here we are thinking of males who are fathers to children, we don't want to ignore the fact that we have absent fathers. And therefore we have mothers who take on the role of fatherhood. And this is an encouragement, and I would want to really give a thumbs up to the women who single and they're taking care of the children, and they equally are thinking about the future of those children. Because what we would want to encourage them, and this is what, of course, what we are doing as a church, is making sure that we also encourage the single parents, the mothers who have no husbands, and the children who have no fathers, to also think that they, to consider that they have a future and invest. And I'll tell you this for a fact: I have friends my age who never had, their fathers, like they had absent fathers, or they were brought up by single mothers, and their mothers invested for them. I know of some who have already been, have actually inherited property from their mothers, and they are living well. So even mothers, you have an obligation to think about the future of your children. And as a church, we are creating that awareness, but at the same time, we are also trying as much as we can to remind men to go back to their divine role as fathers. Because I am a firm believer, there is no single child out there who does not have a father. It is only that maybe something happened and the father, took leave. But let men go back to their divine role of fatherhood so that they can take care of those children, as we said earlier, provide for them, and protect the future. But I'm actually reminded of a text in the Bible again. I don't know whether you guys know this, that sometime Moses in the Bible was an absent father. And he really took so much of his time doing what he was doing in the ministry, so much so that Zipporah, the wife, actually circumcised the sons. This is a woman who took the role of fatherhood in the absence of the father. So, women, be encouraged. You too can invest. You too can buy land and buy asset and buy property for the sake of your children. So, this topic is not limited to mothers alone, fathers alone. This topic also extends to women who are taking care of their children.
Oh, thank you so much. In a two-part question, I want Mr. Moses and Mr. Philip to also chime in on this one. Lipa Pole Pole has been one of the biggest ways that I think today we are making payments for services and products. Fanaka Real Estate, I believe they must have something in that direction.
Good. So when it comes to investment, it's something that needs some preparations. That is one. We also understand that what gives you that element about ownership, it's a process going by the fact that it's not like money or resources are readily available. And that one, as Fanaka Real Estate, we understand. And by so doing, we have ensured that we have flexible modes of payment to ensure that even for the products that probably are going for less than $500,000, we're able to also give at least 12 months for someone to be able to pay for that particular piece of land. And this ensures that there is flexibility And again, this person juggling between the responsibilities of keeping up a family, and also at the same time, they are also able to put something little to be able to invest for the future of their children, and also to be able to provide their families with homes. So as Fanaka Real Estate Limited, we offer installment plans that run all the way to 12 months, and which we believe have helped a lot of people to be able to acquire property. Something that could have seemed to be a far-fetched kind of a dream has become a reality to a number of them. And this is something we will continue doing, working around it to ensure that even going forward, God willing, we have much better flexible kind of payment plans to enable most of the people who are looking for that investment to be able to honor. Yeah.
Great. I know for sure, even Mr. Philip, say for instance, a young father out there earning, a salary, wants to buy a piece of land, say, going for the range of between 500 to 750,000. What are some of the, break it down for them on how much they would probably be, remitting to the bank every single month and such and such. In very simple terms. Make it as simple as possible.
I'll be as simple. Thank you, Ibrahim. So certainly when it comes to financing, as a bank, our focus is to look at what is the percentage of financing that we can offer for a particular product. So for example, if it's land purchase as you've enumerated, we'll be looking at doing up to a maximum of 70%, depending on the location of the land, or sometimes we go as low as 60%. If it's outside Nairobi or in other parts. But Nairobi and its environs will be looking at 70% finance. So going back to your question on the 750, let me work with that. So if we are looking at a piece of land that is priced at 750,000, 70% of that would probably come to around 525,000. So meaning NCBA would finance you 525,000, which is 70% of 750. Then you'd be required to raise 30% of that towards a purchase. So you pay Fanaka 30%, and then CBA, upon transferring that title to your name and registering a charge on the said title, would then take that as security. Then in terms of monthly repayments, for plots we do 5 years maximum, and for a loan of 525, we'll be looking at a repayment of about 13,000 every month, approximately 12,000, 13,000 every month, which to bridge that and help you acquire that piece of land.
Wonderful. Guys, you've heard it here first. There's light at the end of the tunnel. You're not locked out of owning a piece of land, a piece of real estate. It's as easy as he has said it, 13,000 every single month for a period of around, you've said around 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Mr. Gashanja, back to you. You had mentioned something to do with documentation.
Yes.
Many a times we've had companies who act as brokerages, yeah?
Yes.
And they don't have this title deeds. You've mentioned it's very important to have a title before buying that piece of land. It needs to have proper documentation. One of those documents is a title deed, yeah? So what are some of the risks of buying a piece of land from, say, a company A, B, or C that doesn't have this title in their names? Yeah.
Number one, I think there are many risks of buying up. You see, in law there's something we call privity of contract, that the person who I am dealing with is the person who should appear in the title. Because if that is not the case, you see there will be no connection between me and the person who is selling that parcel of land. So there are a lot of risks. Number one, because what if that person refuses to transfer the land to you? Because that is the first risk. What if maybe the company that is selling have not actually maybe the person, you see, because there is I want to use an example. There is company A selling to customer B, but then the owner is C. So you see, maybe the company now that is buying from this the owner of the land, who is C, have not even completed paying that other owner. So you see, there's a risk because that person or the company that is selling that property to you and is not registered in the title might actually go through what we call rescission of a contract. The contract might be terminated. Where does that leave you? It leaves you at a position where you lose your
Lose your money.
Yeah, you lose your money.
Okay.
So that is the risk, and that is why I always advise my clients all along that if the person who is actually selling that property to you should be the registered owner, because at least you eliminate all those risks. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Now, we said when we started the conversation that we are seated with a panel of super dads. And I want this one to go to all of them. We'll start with Wakili. Does having a clear budget help juggle between you investing and providing for the family now?
Yes.
Like a good budget. You need to know this money, this 2,000 here is going this way. Does it actually help you juggle between the investment part and the fatherhood responsibilities of being a father?
Yes, I think it's important, and that is why number one, land is a long-term investment, so you should always have a budget. And now I want to twin it to fatherhood,
Yes.
because I'm also a father.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so a budget will go a long way in ensuring that you plan your things well, and you can also now the reason why people budget is to know what you're spending, what you're saving, and what you're taking to an investment. And as a father, we have been told by our evangelists that it is important to, of course, save. And if you cannot be able to save, this is what I say: take a loan somewhere. It doesn't hurt. Although I know now from now my perspective, people are afraid because they think maybe the bank, Philip, after giving the loan and then you're unable to pay, they are afraid that that property might be taken away. Okay. But now, if you budget well and you hear the rate, like 13,000 every month, this is what many fathers do. And I'm very specific, men. Wanaenda mahali during the weekend, they take something, you see they end up spending that money, maybe I hear them calling it sherehe.
Sherehe is important.
Sherehe, wanatumia pesa,
Yeah.
like every month if you do your calculation well, unaona pesa zinapotelea kwa sherehe or things that are not important. But when you budget, you're going to weigh what is your income and how maybe you can direct that income to having or to investing it in a property, ndio ulipe kidogo kidogo. Because people say that they do not, maybe even some people are afraid of buying properties because they think they are expensive. But if you go the financing way and then you have a clear budget and then you also limit your expenditure, you can be able to purchase property, and at the end of the day you will be happy, your children will be happy, because they say there is no pain without gain. So it is important that as fathers wanasema ujifunge mchipi, so that at least you're able to put that money into good use in a perspective that you will not regret tomorrow.
Mr. Moses,
that's how I look at it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the insights. Mr. Moses, what are the strategies? Because I think a budget is also a strategy that will help you juggle between the two. What other strategies would you say will help me when I'm looking at the idea of, I want to make sure the family is okay on this side, and I also want to invest on this other side? What other strategies work?
Good. So I would look at it from the aspect of resources are kind of scarce, and there will never be any time utasema now I have it all to invest, provided, do all these things. So you have to continuously work around what you have. And one strategy maybe I can also sell to the fathers out there is to try to work out on minimizing their expenses, so that now at least you are able to save something for tomorrow. You find situations where someone, whatever they get, they spend it, all of it on bills and so forth. Actually, the argument in terms of wealth creation argues that when you earn, the first thing you should do is to pay yourself. And paying yourself means you're either saving or you're investing. Yeah. So if you can work around ensuring that you minimize your cost, your lifestyle, so that you're able to live a modest life. It does not mean if you are father out there, and responsibilities are there. Ukiona sasa mwenzako amefanya hivi, amenunua gari, nawe unakimbia unataka ku upgrade yours. Yeah, if you see someone pia ameongeza bibi wa pili,
hata wewe unaongeza.
na pia unafanya nini? No. Try to ensure that at least a good portion of whatever income that you are getting, you are putting it to good use, and you're able to take control of your recurrent cost and recurrent bills. I've seen fathers, young fathers, struggling to pay school fees for their kids, not because they are not, they don't have an income, but because probably they have taken them to high ed schools. You see that kind of a thing, yeah? Just live within your means. I've seen others go too much in terms of borrowing just to maintain their lifestyle, and I think that is also moving in the wrong direction. Ensure that you're able to live a modest life, at least you're able to provide for their needs at the moment, your family that is, and again, you are looking past that day to tomorrow, to the future, and what it is that you are doing to prepare to ensure there is stability and a continuous source of income to provide, and also, God willing, to also have your generation inherit something. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If I was not moderating, I think I would have been taking so many notes. I have heard you need to pay yourself first, either save or invest. Evangelist, please expound. What other strategies would work when we are juggling the two?
I almost wanted to ask Moses whether baby wa pili ni muzigo ama ni investment. No, anyway. Besides that, now when it comes to investments, and I think this is something that we need to tell people, and allow me to say this, that the Bible is very explicit when it comes to matters of investments. And one of the words in the Bible that I think would be an encouragement to us today is Ecclesiastes 11. Because there are three things that are mentioned in this particular text that I would want to quote and highlight. Because it says, cast your bread upon the waters, for you'll find it after many days. Then it says, give a serving to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the cloud will not reap. Now, listen to this. When the Bible says that you cast your bread upon waters, now I want you to imagine literally bread, and you ask to cast a bread upon waters. What will happen? Definitely the bread will be destroyed, or soaked and destroyed. And that is exactly how investments are. That when we go into investments, we actually not sure. But I like the encouragement the Bible is telling us here that it will return after many days. So investments, one of the things that we have to keep reminding our people, requires your patience, requires you to risk, so that you can cast your bread upon that waters, expecting that it shall return one day. Then again, it has told us that you give a serving to 7 and also to 8. When it talks about serving to 7 and to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth, it is purely telling us about diversification. And I've heard people who say, yes, I invest in treasury bonds, I invest in treasury bills, I invest in stock markets, and that is good. I don't have a problem with that. But then again, you cannot just put your eggs in one basket. So when you have a caplot here, when you have land there, when you have T-bills here and there, that is even safer for you. And therefore, we should also encourage our people to diversify. Don't just say that I'm investing in this one way, I'm farming, I'm in business. Try as much as you can to make sure that you diversify as you go along. And maybe finally, from the same text, we've heard that the Bible says, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. So if you just sit and say, hey, the economy this time around is not favorable, there will be no favorable time for anyone to invest. There will be no good time for you to do that which you want to do. So the time is now. Now, in the little that you have, you can be able to do something about it. So whoever waits for the wind, whoever waits for the cloud, whoever waits for this, they'll never do anything. So my encouragement, even for the fathers and the people who are watching us, is that you have to take the big step and do it. And look at the options that you're being given. That there is lipa, sijui, pole pole. You can start somewhere. With the little that you have, there is where you can start. So an encouragement for everyone Because let me say this. Now I've been married for about 12 years. And marriage is, I hear people say, marriage is workshop, where the man works and the woman shops, you know? So you, you, as a father, you have to work, and you have to do something, especially as we think about providing and also protecting for the future of your children.
Mr. Philip, you want to crown the whole discussion?
Yeah, certainly interesting discussions going on here. I think at a personal level, I think when it comes to budgeting, because taking a mortgage is a long-term commitment, because you're thinking 5 years. If you're buying a house, if you're buying a plot with intent to build, obviously you have an option of taking a much longer period, which would sometimes stretch to 25 years, which is our current offering. It's only for plots where we restrict. And in that regard, you have to then picture it, or you have to then condition your mind that every month I have an amount that I have to part with from my salary, way before you pay yourself. The way Moses has put it, but it depends. It could be that you're paying yourself by setting aside some money to making repayments for that particular facility. And for me, the way I look at it is, in budgeting, you're looking at there's a want and there's a need, and in Abraham's hierarchy of needs, shelter is a component of it, and that shelter sits on a piece of land. Be that you even are buying an apartment, that particular apartment sits on a piece of land. So since here we are looking at purchase of land, the core concept should then be, I'm going to provide shelter for my family, and I need to be setting aside. Because if you put so much of your money on wants than needs, then you'll end up putting money in specific items that are not, you don't warrant. And half the time you see someone spending almost 300-400K or even 500,000 to holiday. It depends. It could be that this particular person has invested to the extent that even blowing 700,000, which can actually get you a piece of land, is a no-brainer to them. And you ask, and I think the most common response you get as I take back the mic is, wacha nipige mwili pole, or you can only live once. Mwili mpya tutapewa binguni. And it's a common thing, and it's a common phrase, but not to belabor the point, setting aside money every month on a long-term commitment requires you to be very strict and to be very disciplined for you to see it through to the end.
A lot of planning.
Planning.
Good. Wakili, I am a young dad, and I have bought shamba from Fanaka. I bought 2-3 pieces where Fanaka is selling. I have built, but I also want my child, who is about 7 years of age, to own something. Is this something that is possible? And also on the same, kindly touch on the bit of children out of wedlock. Are they privy? Are they entitled to an inheritance?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to start with answering the first question on the issue of whether. Let me start with the second question.
The one kids out of
the
wedlock,
kids out of wedlock,
and then inheritance.
I will say this: nowadays the law has advanced. I am actually supposed to answer it in a wider way, because of course in the past, when we look at our traditions and our cultures, women were not inheriting. Even in the Kikuyu culture, you will see that women were not allowed to inherit. If the parents owned something and succession was done, you would see that women would actually be put out of the picture. And that was because they used to say that women, of course, are going to inherit when they get married to from the other family. So nowadays, of course, things are changing. You will find even most, I don't know why the number of especially ladies who are not married is rising. I do not know why, but the fact is, because of now things that are happening, and now laws are evolving, people are more aware, they say that all children are equal. So whether a man or a woman, they are supposed to inherit. And I tell people, even in succession proceedings, if the family now takes that route of where they want, maybe if your sons you only want to benefit and you leave out the ladies, if that lady happens to go to court, or that woman happens to go to court, the court is going to make a decision of everyone inheriting equally, because that is what the law provides. And now I'm going to come to the other bit of whether children out of wedlock are entitled to benefit. And I will say equality cuts across all those women, children out of wedlock. Everyone should inherit, and they are supposed to actually inherit equally, and that is the law. In Kikuyu they say there is no one, no children of the back and of the stomach.
You want to say it in Kikuyu?
Yeah, yeah,
It will be simpler.
yeah. It will
Okay.
be simpler. They say gutire wada na wa mgongo. Yeah,
Hakuna wa tumbo
na wa
na wa
mgongo.
mgongo.
Yeah,
Na- wote walizaliwa from the same.
yeah, from the same place.
Okay.
So they are all equal.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, touching again, that same question I was asking, if I wanted as a father to make sure to buy a piece of land for my kids now who are under the ages of 18,
Yeah.
are they?
Now that is where I was coming. It's very possible, because of course we know the requirements of a contract, and one requirement is that that person who is supposed to, whose name is supposed to appear in the title, should have what we call capacity to contract. And one of those, under capacity, one of those things that are required is that that person should have attained the age of 18 years. So number one, he or she cannot appear in the title alone. So what I see many parents do, they usually, the title is written in their names or in the name of a person who is over 18 years, but then there's another provision where the law allows that person, the minor, to appear in the title, because the requirement is that the minor should have a birth certificate. When that minor now appears in the title, he won't appear on the first page because of that thing I've told you about a minor not having capacity to contract. So they are going to appear as owners in the second page, and it will read like this. Say we have Ibrahim and Lawrence. Ibrahim is the parent and Lawrence is the kid. So what will happen is that the title on the first page will be written Ibrahim. Then on the proprietary section, because a title has section, it will read Ibrahim to hold that property in trust for now Lawrence, who is the kid. So it's possible, and it means now the property will actually be owned by Lawrence, who is the kid, because Ibrahim is just a trustee. You get it? And if you want to ever dispose that property, you cannot dispose it unless you you actually have to go to court if you are the parent and you want to sell, to show that you're selling because of the children. Yeah, so it's possible. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. A panel of super dads is what we are calling it. Mr. Philip,
Yes.
does NCBA have a product on the same for people who, as Wakili has said, for minors?
Yeah, certainly. Minors would not really perhaps qualify at that level, because again, also as I normally call him Council Lawrence, I said, you must have capacity to contract. And in capacity to contract, one of the key things we look at: do you have an ID? Do you have a PIN certificate? At the point of onboarding, and in so doing, that would then mean it has to be someone who has attained the age of majority, 18 years and above. So you could be this super dad, you're looking at buying a plot or investing in real estate, so that you have your son or your daughter to actually their name to appear on the title. So we have a product that actually captures a parent-child. We have a parent-child mortgage that we are offering. Would be fathers, if in case, or would be parents who would want to have an opportunity to take a mortgage to buy a piece of land or to buy a house, but then now they take responsibility for repaying that facility. Then at some future date, they can opt to transfer that piece of land or that particular property in the name of that particular child.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Parting shots, gentlemen. You know, I think I'm the only mimi tu ndio nimebaki kwa the rest of you. Now, please share something with the soon-to-be fathers, young fathers who are who are juggling the two, investment and being a dad. I know it's a bit stressful to some extent. It's a big job. It's a big task. And congratulations to the ones who are taking it heads on. So what would be your advice to the dads who are trying to juggle the two?
Investing in real estate is such a rewarding adventure, because personally I've experienced it as a father, and at first I was afraid, and the next thing I know is I found a piece of real estate that excited me, and at the onset I was so afraid, thinking this particular installment, can I sustain it for the longest? And I can proudly say I've sustained those installments for the last almost 2 years now, and having a house that you practically know that you're not paying rent, and it comes with its own self, how can I call it? You feel some sort of achievement, and again also, it didn't start with owning a house. It actually started with owning a plot. And I remember back in the day, we had this wonderful circle where I belong to date since 2008. They were buying land and giving members an opportunity to actually acquire. And when I put my hands on the first title, the feeling was so refreshing. So for me, is never be afraid to invest. Never be afraid to take a mortgage. It's a long-term commitment, yes, but the only thing you require to do is just be disciplined. And just like they say, today I'm not there. I'll leave valuable inheritance to my children and to my children's children, as Evangelist Mahinda has said, and that's the good book also enumerates. And that said, I think in summary, I remember when I was coming in, I read in one of the texts that the value of a father has no price. So do not look at it as you're burdening yourself with such a huge investment to do. But thank you for inviting me, and I'm grateful that this afternoon I was here today. Thanks.
Wonderful.
To start with, Ibrahim Company.
Ibrahim Company.
Just come.
Hey,
You guys,
we are ready.
you're wasting your time.
Yeah?
And you
I
realize
feel attacked.
Yeah, you realize that you're wasting your time when you come, to this other side. And because one of the things that I think I have experienced in being a father and also, in marriage is that you become more responsible and you're able to, get the value for your money. Because when you come now, you have responsibilities and you have to think about certain things and plan, budget, and actualize your vision. And the earlier you do that, the better. But having said that, I would want to help our younger dads and young people to overcome fear. There's always this fear and thought that it's not possible. It's not possible to own a plot. It's not possible to own a house. It's not possible to do these things. And the moment you do that, you realize how easy it was. So that fear that could be holding you from doing it, please overcome it. Come talk to people, talk to companies like Fanaka, go to the banks, and they'll show you, they'll tell you how possible that is. And therefore, let us overcome that fear and get to see that it's possible. Nothing is impossible, one, of course, when we believe, and also when we become prudent with what it is that we have. Because I believe that young people today have opportunities to make money more than we used to in our time. But then again, priorities are wrong. You find that they are going so much into liabilities and not thinking about assets. And like Wakili said, ni kupiga sherehe. Iyo sherehe, my friend, utapiga, and you realize that it has no help that is bringing to your future. Think about your future. and you can build it from where you are. And don't think that you have time. You know, people think like, I have time, you know, I'll think about this in my 40s, I'll think about this in my 50s. Someone said, today is a father of tomorrow. Whatever you're doing today will definitely give birth to your future. You have a responsibility to think about that now and do something about it. So happy Father's Day. We celebrate you people, and we want to believe that every dad feels appreciated. And I say it, also women who have no husbands, be the fathers to those children. God bless.
Thank you very much. Mr. Moses,
Yes.
parting shot.
So basically, when it comes to fathers out there, what I can say is that the difficult thing is what you have not started. And you don't have to start it in a big way. However small you start in terms of investment, start from there. I remember, like in my case, the first parcel of land I acquired, I bought it at 150,000. And then I didn't have all the money. So I had only 50,000. And that's what I used as a deposit. And the rest, that is 100,000, I had to juggle around for like 3 months to be able to find the balance. And that plot, I bought it on these sides of Naivasha. And sometimes when I'm going along those sides, I get to see where it is. It's close to a tarmac, so it's something I can see when I'm passing by, yeah? And it's a place that I've seen developments are happening. But the most important thing from that is not the value I can get today from it. Probably if today I was to go and sell it, probably I would get 3 times or 4 times the amount. But what helped me then, because we are talking about 10 years ago, is the fact that it ignited that element in me about investment and for value. So that now, the fact that I started small, it puts you in a better position or in a better path to be able to build bit by bit. And with the time you get now, you're even buying what probably you thought then was out of reach, but you find yourself in the presence. So investment is a journey. The earlier you start, the better. And start small, start with your ability. We have heard that even banks can provide a situation where you are able to pay as low as, for products at Fanaka, as low as 12,000, 13,000. So this should not prevent you from starting. And I can tell you for sure, when you start the journey, things work around to ensure that you don't lack. You get where I'm coming from? And I think it goes without saying, it in every human element, whenever you put yourself in the picture or in the soup, basically, you have things basically starts to work in to favor you, to favor the situation, and to make it possible for you to achieve that goal. Yeah. So it's something I want to encourage the young fathers to do, to go about it. If we are there, at least you have heard from the advocate in terms of investing for your children, it's possible. It's something that can provide it in the law, that you can also be able to have the name of your kid indicated on the title deed. And that puts us in a better position as fathers to be in a position, if we want to directly invest on our kids, to be able to do that. And I can tell for sure how you bring up your kid or your children, the steps that you show them, it's what will help them going into the future. So I want also to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Week, and we celebrate you. We celebrate you as Fanaka, and we believe we continue ensuring that we make more and more fathers landowners, so that they can be able to build homes for their families. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Council.
Eh,
Senior council.
usitumie hivyo. I think you've used it wrongly, because you can only call me senior counsel if you're in the profession, and unfortunately you are not.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah. So my parting shot is that I think I've come to learn over time and to appreciate really the value of land, because I've dealt with many people, including old people or people whose age is advanced, And because we share many stories with them, some of them usually tell me that I bought a property maybe like in the early 90s for say like 100,000, and today they maybe come and you see they are doing a transaction for the same parcel of land for many millions. So it has taught me over time the importance of investing in land, and that is why I advise the young fathers to actually be very responsible and not to be pressured, because that is something that is many people that is taking many people to the wrong direction. Because and when I say pressure, number one is that you go and buy things that you cannot really afford, so you get a lot of pressure, you get into debts because you're trying to sustain a certain lifestyle. So I would advise young fathers especially to make sure that they leave an inheritance, and the only way they can do that is being disciplined and being responsible and living within their budget, and to know that every good thing will come to them at the right time. Yeah, so that is my parting shot. Today I've talked just as a pastor can. But anyway, I wish the fathers a happy Father's Day, and I urge them to all to continue doing the good work that they are doing. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. A panel of super dads. I hope you guys got something. We were speaking to all young fathers, guys who are also going to be fathers soon. And I want to also chime in and say this. Someone said, as iron sharpens iron, so do men become men in the company of other men. So as much as possible, sit with this one is directly to the fathers. Sit with men, learn something. I believe, personally, I've taken something home from what I've heard from the gentlemen. We are super excited to have you on. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope to do this again, and we hope that you guys will be there. Thank you so much. I've been your host, Mr. Ibrahim Basal. I'll see you next time. Thank you.